You know what I love about our guest today is that she will be the first to tell you she's still working on doing too many things at once, which means she is not some polished, perfectly zen guru speaking from a mountaintop. She is a real woman in the trenches, quoting movies, building a business, who just happens to be certified, who have a happens to have a certified, proven framework for helping you manage your stress and stop burning out. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the Passion to Payday podcast.
We are your hosts, Becky, Sampson, and
Heather Laughter.
This is where stories turn into strategy and passion turns into profit.
Every episode, you'll hear how everyday women build real income doing what they love, and how you can too.
Turn your passions into paydays. Welcome to the show.
Well, hello. We're on another episode. I love it, of the Passion to Payday. I'm Becky Sampson and
Heather Laughter.
Woohoo! We are so excited to bring some of the most amazing women to the show. And I know we're going to be laser about these like 10, 15 minutes, but we're going to have multiple today. So you're going to get all this yumminess, and make sure you also check the show notes. We're going to be live on a lot of different platforms, or we are right now. So take it away, Heather.
Well, Meg, thank you so much for being on our show today, and I'm so excited to share with you some of her brilliance. Meg Bingham spent over a decade in healthcare watching high-achieving women burn themselves into the ground, and then quietly became one of them. So in 2023, she went back to her health education roots, got certified as a stress management specialist, and built a coaching and consulting practice with one mission: helping women and teens operate from ease and calm instead of chronic overwhelm. As the founder of Meg Bingham Consulting and the host of the Becoming Burnout Proof podcast, she now serves individuals, corporate teams, and community workshops, bringing real tools, not platitudes, to the women who are still convinced that exhaustion is the price of ambition. Today, she's here to prove it's not, and show us exactly how she turned that conviction into her passion to payday.
Woohoo! Welcome to the show, Meg.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me.
It's fun to have another podcaster.
Yeah, it's such a good time.
I know. I love it. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. I know we all have really busy schedules, but we met you last week, and you are just a ball of joy and energy and grounding. That's something that we mentioned before the show it's perfect what you do, because you're just laser. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're the right person for exactly for what you do. And that being said, I would love to hear a little bit of the backstory of what got you into this business.
Yeah, I love this question. Anytime you talk to entrepreneurs, I'm sure you're finding it's such like a winding, I did this and then I tried this. So I love sharing my story. So as mentioned in my bio, I worked in healthcare for over 12 years. I've always been very passionate about disease prevention, growing up with a dad who had several lifestyle chronic illnesses. So that's always been a big part of my life. I was working that healthcare job and I loved it, but got to the point where a lot of moms end up, where it's like, I can't work full time and be present in raising my kids. How do I make this work when I still need to contribute to my family, right? So I ended up starting a marketing business, did a lot of certifications that way, did that for years. And that's where I gained this experience working with other really ambitious women, building beautiful, amazing businesses where they're burning out at like alarming rates and under so much chronic stress, and it affects everything else in your life, right? And so there came a time where I realized that's what I was meant to be doing, is supporting these women in managing their stress effectively so they could build these big, beautiful, amazing businesses, be present with their families, and not sacrifice their own well-being in the meantime.
Yeah, no, I love it, because it is true. And then that's something that Heather and I are really passionate about, is finding that balance, right? You can't just go one way or the other. We had someone on yesterday that was a mom, and she's like, how do I do a mom and a business? And it's true. A lot of people are facing that, especially when they need more income. they're looking
Yes.
for turning that passion into the payday. So who's your ideal client? Like if you were to, what's your magic wand? Like who do you absolutely love to work with?
Yeah, magic wand. My ideal client is women entrepreneurs, those who are established in business, right? Have some systems in place. And I think a lot of us have been there. You get to that point where you start to sort of lose that time freedom you set out for in the first place. That's really where my skills shine. Is with those women who are in established businesses. I also have a real soft spot for my teens, my teenagers. So I don't advertise that necessarily on my website, but I do lots of local community work with teens. So
awesome. And is it also with entrepreneurs that are teenagers or?
No. So one of my things I do in my community, I work with teens experiencing homelessness. And so that's how those started. I started doing workshops in that community. And so now I do youth groups and I go to girls camps and things like that. So that's my little
awesome.
side passion.
A former foster kid and a kid who lived in a group home. I get the homelessness. They were telling me you got to live on your own when you're 15. And I was 14 at the time. And so they teach me how to do that. And I was so blessed to have finally get a foster home, but I was freaked out. Like, what if I did something wrong? And teens today are, because they have all the access to all the, internet and everything that's going on in the world. And not only that, but they're feeling their parents' stress and anxiety and overwhelm, and they don't know what to do with it. So
yeah, exactly.
You're doing so important and so needed. And it's not only with moms, but with teens, that's huge. And I love, 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 love that you're doing that. Could you share with us, like, what would you categorize as your best business success so far?
My best business success. I would definitely say learning to align my business with my actual strengths. So I mentioned before, I was in marketing. I had a marketing, we call it a boutique design agency, and it made good money, right? It was paying my bills. I didn't hate it, was really good at it, but I didn't enjoy it at all. Like it was paying my bills and that was it, which is not a bad thing, right? It was serving its purpose, but I over lots of trial and error and experiences with those clients, I was like, I'm not meant to be doing this. I'm meant to be serving them in a different way. And I think that's been my number one most successful like turning point in my business, was where I realized I needed to be offering this stress management component to it.
Yeah, and you bring up the good point, because in entrepreneurs, we think that it's a straight line. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely not.
Yeah. Heather and I have been on our own journey, right, of trying to discover where is that alignment with really who we are. And oftentimes it is a journey of self-discovery, because I always say God can't drive a parked car. You have to go in some direction. Like even this podcast was created literally overnight. It was like boom, boom.
Which is wild. I wish I could move that fast. They would like conquer the world if I could move that fast.
I know.
It's incredible.
Well, thanks to AI, we're going to be teaching a lot of that stuff of like, how do we go from A to B? But, at least try it and see if it's something that you like. And if you don't, it reminds me a lot of when I used to work in the colleges and we were helping the students try to find what they want to study and what they wanted to work in. It's like, go take a job and go experience it, or go do market research and go and see if that's I did a market research a couple of years ago. And I realized after that, I'm like, it's not all entrepreneurial women. It's coaches and mentors who are meant to, because entrepreneurship is like a big thing. So I love that you talked about this as it's like, and this may not be your end all be all either, but you also brought up something that was important, I think, is that when you do find your jive, your jam, right, and you're doing it and you're being able to pay your bills with it, and you then have time to free up to go back and serve in other areas of your community.
And that seems like that's what brings you joy. Becky and I always talk about this. I worked in a career, like I told you, I sold homes. I hated it. I loved the clients. I hated the builders. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because the money's there. I have a degree in marketing. I have a degree in business management. I've been a coach for 19 years, and I have tried so hard to figure out how to align everything. And that is the key. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just because something is good and makes you money doesn't mean it brings you joy. And joy is even more than alignment. Joy is what it's all about. And I love that look at your face, like you seem to be living your joy. And I love that we're just getting to know you is getting to look at your face is getting to know you. Beautiful thing.
Yeah. I know.
So
and you have a bit of a confidence about you, right? Like, I love that.
Totally.
Thank you so much.
So I was going to ask you before, Heather, sorry, one more question is what would make 2026 like your best year ever, Meg?
Ooh, good question.
Ooh, that is a good question. I would love to build my business to 6 figures. I've not hit that 6-figure mark. So for me personally in my business, hitting that, that would make it awesome. But I really think this is a recent shift into the stress management consulting and coaching. And so I really feel like I'm already started into my best year ever. Not to be like cheesy, but once I figured that out, right? I've been tippy-toeing into it. This is the first year. I'm like, all right, I'm diving, I'm all in. I'm just like seeing the potential and the hope and the opportunities to serve. And I'm already just like, this is the best year ever because I'm leaning more fully into what I love doing. So
your alignment. And I think,
yes.
I think sometimes people, especially women, we struggle sometimes making the money that we want and keeping the balance of service. And yes. I know Heather and I talked a lot about that this morning, even before we came on here, is that, it looks like as though you have found that place where it's service and you get to be rewarded for it. And it's okay to receive that.
Yes. That is a good message in entrepreneurship. We talked about this at the conference with several people. I did. I'm grateful when people can provide a solution to my problem. I am happy to pay them. It's still service. Like making yourself easy to find, reaching out to me, that is a service. Helping me with your talents and skills, that is a service that I'm also happy to pay for. So yes to all of that.
I know. I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to talk about that at our event, actually. We were just talking.
I'm sure you are. Yeah.
Because it is truly when you can align. Look, there's so many people in the world that would be willing to pay you for your passion, but people sometimes get stuck going, well, this has come so easy for me. And I'm like, yeah, but it comes easy for you. It doesn't. Yeah. It's kind of like, building this podcast. This is very easy for me, but for other people, they may be like, I don't know. So, I can provide that service. So anyway, Heather, you've got it.
I have a really great question for you. Ready? What does passion to payday mean to you?
Ooh, that's a fun question. Okay. Passion to payday. I think you talked about aligning with your joy already. I believe that I don't know. I work with a lot of women who are overwhelmed, right? And so I think there's pressure when you start a business that like your business has to be your passion. I don't believe that's true, but I believe you find your passion along the way by trying different things and finding out where you fit. So don't be afraid to try something and learn all the different ways that you can make money, all the different ways you can build a business, and then your business can turn into your passion when you're accessing the things that you love to do and utilizing your strengths and things like that. Hopefully that was a good answer. That was a really good question.
It was a great answer.
We like good questions. We love good answers. Well, Meg, thank you so much. I'm going to, if people don't know, you can go to that QR code that way over there, wherever it is, to her. And as well as we've got her, here we go. You can, let's see, show it right there. Or you can go to megbingham.com. And where do they find your podcast? It is in the show notes. They can go and look at it. But how often do you do your shows?
Yeah, my podcast is up in the air right now. It's different. Was doing weekly. It still exists. There's some great content. I'll be starting up monthly for now. Looking for a partner, especially after watching you two lovely ladies rock this. So it's available anywhere you listen to your podcast, and it's called Becoming Burnout Proof.
Ooh, Becoming Burnout Proof.
Yes.
So, yes, if you're an entrepreneur and you are feeling burnt out and you're feeling stressed about it, please reach out to Meg. Like, honestly, that's one of the first things I noticed about you is that you just have a very calming, very grounded energy about you. And so, yeah, absolutely. That's super important to have that in your business if you definitely want to grow. and get paid for your passion. So thanks everybody for joining us on another episode of the Passion to Payday. And make sure here in the next couple of days, we're going to be all over the audio platforms. But for right now, if you're watching us anywhere you're watching us, you can go also to YouTube and like and subscribe. We'd love to have you get this out to more people and be able to expose more people to what you do. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Passion to Payday podcast.
If you're overwhelmed, spinning your wheels, and not seeing the income you want, there's a good chance you're undercharging for what you do.
We're going to change that. So join us live at our upcoming virtual event, May 13th through 15th, where together we'll build your high ticket offer so your passion finally pays you back.
Save your spot today.
Because your passion deserves a payday.